Welcome back to the life. What's up? How are you doing today? It's a beautiful day. As always, we have entertaining, educative, interesting riddle question for you to answer. I'll put up the riddle question and do well to write your answer in the chat if you know it. I believe you know it, so give the answer before others do. And do well to double tap on the screen to give it a thumbs up, okay? So let's put up our question for the day. All right, the riddle question reads: when I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now? When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter? How old is my daughter now? When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now? If you know the answer, write it in the chat and do it to give it a thumbs up by double tapping on the screen. Good luck and thank you. When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I'm 50. How old is my daughter now? Kindly write your answer in the chat. Thank you.
Stop, you asshole! Even yelled, his face flushed with anger. Kian just smiled, patting him on the shoulder. Look at it this way, he said, his voice calm and sincere. He just dodged a bullet. It's a good thing, really. No need to be so pissed off. Grandpa, the guy was a total scammer. Even shot back, his voice tight with frustration. I gave him $2,000 and he just dumped us here and peeled out. That was barely a 10-minute drive. A regular cab would have been $50. Tops. It's not even about the money. If we let him get away with it, who knows how many other people he'll rip off. That's it. I'm calling the cops. Kian nodded slowly. Yeah, the guy was way out of line, he agreed. But he's not worth your energy. Remember, the most valuable thing a person has is their time. The more successful you are, the more your time is worth. For guys who are struggling, their time is cheap. As he spoke, he looked at Ethan. So let's play this out. You call the cops. We either wait here for an officer to show up or we have to go down to the station. Then we have to give a full statement. Try to remember every detail of the guy's face.
Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the Riddle live stream. When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter? How old is my daughter?
So are we really going to waste our time, our valuable time, chasing down a $2,000 cheap shot from a guy like that? Does that make any sense to you? Even's jaw was tight. Grandpa, it's not about the $2,000. I want to call the cops to get him arrested. It's about teaching him a lesson. He needs to learn that you have to be honest and play by the rules. This could stop him from screwing someone else over. Kian
Doris, thank you so much for joining. You said 30. Thank you for your comments. Let's keep it coming. Thank you, the bros, for your comments. When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now?
surprise? Raging here. Charlie could tell from the look on his face that Zeke hadn't made the connection to the Everett group. He offered a small smile. Professor Cabrera. Doris Young said this meeting up. What?
Good morning. Fine. Yes.
Charlie nodded. That's right, Professor Cabrera. I'm the chairman of the Everett group. My God. Zeke breathed, sinking back into his chair. I was just jogging with your friend Zoe yesterday. She told me you were into something about energy alignment. That's a far cry from being the chairman of a multi-million-dollar corporation. Charlie gave a slight smile. The whole energy alignment thing is just a cover story I use around here. I mean, I'm dabbled in it, but it's not exactly my profession. He leaned in a little, his tone growing more serious. Listen, Professor, about the Everett group, I need you to keep this confidential. My own wife and father-in-law don't know my true identity. So please, don't tell us.
No, they adjust now. I hear you.
From scratch. Charlie explained, it's mine now, but I didn't build it. It's been around for nearly a decade. I only took control of it last summer. And as for my family, there are personal reasons I can't tell them. Not yet, anyway. Zeke processed that for a moment, then gave a firm nod. All right, Charlie, I promise I won't say a word to anyone. But now I'm really curious. Why did you come to see me today? Charlie got straight to the point. The ocean shipping industry is exploding right now. I want to get in on it, but I'm having trouble finding the right person to run the operation. He looked at Zeke right in the eye. Doris Young recommended you. Said you're brilliant and spoke very highly of you. So I came here to ask. Professor Cabrera, are you interested in working with me? Zeke listened, then slowly shook his head. I'm sorry, Mr. Wade, he said with genuine regret. Mr. Wade, the day I started teaching here, I made a promise to myself to leave that world behind me for good. Charlie hadn't expected such a quick refusal. Professor Cabrera, if it's about compensation, that's not an issue. You can name your price. Zeke shook his head again. No, it's not about the money. It's personal. I gave 20 years of my life to the corporate world. For 2 decades, all I did was rack my brain for ways to help companies squeeze out more profit. And eventually, it just felt empty. That's why I came here to teach. I wanted to contribute something meaningful. Charlie looked confused. Why would helping companies make a profit be boring? Isn't teaching just helping a school develop talent? I don't really see the difference. Zeke offered a faint smile. To be honest, I'm just not a money person. With that, he continued, his voice taking on a more earnest tone. Honestly, once you have a certain amount of money, it just becomes a number. My lifestyle was pretty much set back when I was making $500,000 a year. When that jumped to $10 million, my standard of living didn't change at all. I wouldn't call myself rich, but after working for so many years, I saved up tens of millions. If you liquidate it, it's probably around $200 or $300 million. It's a drop in the bucket compared to the Grand Group, Mr. Wade. The house I live in isn't even that expensive. I could afford a much bigger, more expensive house. It just seems like a hassle. Completely unnecessary. The car I drive is a famous one, but it's economical, good for the environment, and costs less than $60,000. My monthly expenses only 5%. The rest of the money just sits in a bank. Dust. That's all it's money to me. Any money I make from here on out, I just plan on donating it all to charity eventually. So for me, I'd much rather teaching right here. Charlie was surprised. You're not going to leave a nice nest egg for your kids? Zeke smiled. I haven't really given it much thought. My daughter's about your age. It's basically the same as mine. She makes her own money, but has no real interest in spending it. Charlie hit a brick wall. Zeke clearly wasn't interested in money. He just wanted to teach. Racking his brain, Charlie came up empty. But then his eyes landed on a black and white sketch on the homework's wall. It was a simple line drawing of a tree, nothing special at a glance. In fact, most people probably couldn't even tell what kind of tree it was from the simple outline. But Charlie kept looking at it, his interest peaked. Professor Cabrera, did you draw this yourself? Zeke asked, curious. How did you know? I didn't sign it. Charlie smiled, because I recognize the tree. Oh, Zeke leaned forward eagerly. If you recognize it, then tell me what it is. Charlie nodded, a smile playing on his lips. Professor Cabrera, the tree you drew is a California redwood. Zeke was taken aback for a moment. Then, Charlie continued, actually, the design looks like it was taken from the Langford University emblem. If I remember correctly, the pattern in the center of their emblem is a redwood tree, just like this. Zeke stared at him in astonishment. Mr. Wade, are you also a Langford graduate? Seeing the professor's excited expression, Charlie quickly clarified, sorry, Professor Cabrera, I didn't actually go to Langford. Zeke puzzled. And how did you recognize the tree from the Langford emblem? You'd have to know the university pretty well to remember a detail like that. Charlie didn't hesitate. My mom actually went to Langford back in the day, he said. I was lucky enough to visit the campus with her once when I was a kid. Oh, I see, Zeke nodded. I'm guessing you're what? 27, 28. Your mom must be around my age then. Charlie nodded. She was 26 when she had me. She would have been 54 this year. Zeke mulled that over. 54, so a year younger than me. She would have been in my class, or maybe the year below me. What was her name? Charlie's expression tightened. After a brief pause, he said quietly, hung in the air. Zeke froze, his eyes locked on Charlie. When he finally spoke, his voice trembled. Charlie, right? Does that mean your mother? Was her name Hayes? A jolt went to Charlie. Professor Cabrera, you knew my mother? Zeke's face lit up with a sudden, intense excitement. You're Celine's son? You're really her son? The name, Celine, hit Charlie.
Tahila, thank you so much for joining. You said 45. No, wait, it's 30. Thank you so much. Let's keep the comments coming. Let's keep the answers coming. When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now? When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now?
As his eldest and most beloved daughter, she carried all of his highest hopes. That's why he'd given her a name with such deep meaning. Seeing the tears glistening in Charlie's eyes, Zeke knew his way. He surged forward, grabbing Charlie's arm, his own eyes red-rimmed. Charlie, we met over 20 years ago. You were just a little boy. Your mother brought you to Langford, and then to Silicon Valley. My wife and I were with her the whole time. It was a big group, a lot of people. You probably wouldn't remember me at all. A new memory seemed to strike him. My wife even held you, he said, his voice full of wonder. Do you have any memory of that? Charlie shook his head, a hint of regret in his voice. I'm sorry, Professor Cabrera. It was so long ago I honestly don't remember. He looked at the professor, a new question forming. Were you and my mom classmates? Zeke nodded, his voice thick with emotion. We were classmates for years, and we were really close when I was trying to win over my wife. Your mother was the one delivering my love letters. Charlie asked, curiously, Professor Cabrera, could you tell me about my mother? I don't know anything about her life before she married my dad. Zeke let out a soft sigh. Your mother was a legend at Langford back in the day. Not only was she In Charlie's memory, his mother wasn't some business type. He really didn't know anything about her life beforehand. She'd always been a private person, loved him about her past. Hearing all this, Charlie's interest was weak. He leaned in and asked, Professor Cabrera, is there anything else you can tell me about your seeing Sam seriously? There's too much. You could talk for 3 days, 3 nights, still not cover it all. As he said this, his expression turned sorrowful. After your mother's accident in Doris, he said, his voice heavy with emotion. Dozens of us from our class tried to fight overnight to come look for you. I was on that flight, along with so many of your mother's classmates from Langford. Even though I was born and raised here, I pulled every string I had in the city at the time, but couldn't find a single trace of you. Later, I moved to more than 300 people from our alumni association, plus nearly 100 of your mother's friends from the venture world in Silicon Valley. All of them working together to find you. They searched all over the world for 10 years and found nothing. Where have you been all this time? Charlie was stunned. He never imagined that after his parents' accident, his mother's friends and classmates had searched for him for a decade. Deeply moved, he said with a heavy heart, Professor Cabrera, the truth is I've been right here in Morris Hill this whole time. Charlie then explained how he had hidden away in the orphanage. Zeke couldn't help but sigh. I never would have guessed you were in Morris Hill all along. Charlie asked him, Professor Cabrera, did you know my father? He said, when your father was pursuing your mother, he never really reached out to us. We just knew he was the young master of the family in Eastwood, but the details were always a little fuzzy. When your parents had been wedded,
Thank you.
something came up for us at the last minute and we had to cancel. If I remember correctly, when mother and father got married, I only saw her 3 times before. Before the accident in Morris Hill, the very last time was when she brought you to visit Langford. Zeke let out a soft sigh. That's just how it goes when you get older, he said. You have these amazing friendships. But then, life happens. Distance. Before you quiet for a moment. Charlie, he finally said, choosing ocean shipping as your entry point right now, that's a spot-on judgment. Global trade is only going to keep expanding. More and more large-scale manufacturers are relying on global supply chains. The more these supply chains expand, the more the ocean shipping market will grow. The Simpsons getting their license revoked. That's the key to completely shaking up the domestic shipping industry. Charlie nodded. Professor Cabrera, I was hoping you'd be willing to help me with this, please. Just tell me what kind of compensation you're looking for. A wave of sadness washed over Zeke's face. He sighed. Charlie, let me tell you something personal. If I had given up my career, I could have been the CEO of Fortune 500 companies by now. The reason I gave up that kind of money and chose to teach at a university is that I swore on my wife's grave that I would only teach for the rest of my life. I wouldn't go back into business. I wouldn't chase money anymore. Charlie looked surprised. Professor Cabrera, your wife passed away. Yeah, Zeke sighed. Back then, my so-called entrepreneurial ambition was just too strong. My classmates were all becoming executives and partners at huge firms, and a bunch of others had started their own successful companies and become billionaires. I couldn't stand being left behind, so I worked myself to the bone. I was home for less than a month out of the entire year. Back then, I was flying first class all over the world practically every day. I never had a spare moment for my wife, for my family. One time I was in Canada for a business trip hashing out a project. My wife called and told me she'd been having these terrible headaches, but I was too busy to deal with them. I just told her to take some meds and see a doctor if it didn't get better. Who would have thought that just 6 months later, she'd be gone? A malignant brain tumor. As he spoke, Zeke's eyes reddened, his voice thick with self-blame. From the day she was diagnosed, I finally realized the huge mistakes I've been making for years.
Thank you for joining. Rose says 30.
But it's not a magic wand. It can't replace love, or family, or your health. No matter how
Thank you
much
for
I
joining.
learned, I couldn't save my wife's life, and I couldn't get my daughter
When I was
to ever
25,
truly forgive me. So
my daughter was 5.
I swore to her that from that day
Now I'm
on,
50.
I would only teach, that I would
I was my daughter now.
Zeke said that Charlie knew in his heart there was no convincing him, and he understood a simple truth. You just can't force someone's hand, so he didn't push it. Professor Cabrera, I get it, he said seriously. I'm sorry I was being too pushy. Zeke waved a dismissive hand. Hey, don't beat yourself up. This is a personal thing for me. I made a promise to my late wife, and it's one I have to keep. Of course not, Professor Cabrera. Charlie replied quickly. Zeke managed to smile, and that memory seemed to start to solve. Charlie, he said, everyone knows the death of the Wade family in the Simpsons. You don't have to have all the trouble of building ocean shipping business from scratch.
I'm Mary's son.
Professor Cabrera,
Good day, good morning.
Zeke's expression turned serious. I think you should go find your grandfather. With him in your corner, you wouldn't have to worry about the Simpsons or the Wades. Hell, if the Simpson family and the Wade family joined forces, they'd still be no match for your grandfather. Charlie was floored. Professor Cabrera, he asked, his voice low. Is my grandpa really that powerful? Powerful? Zeke said earnestly. It's more than that. There are 3 truly wealthy families in the world, the kind with riches and influence that span generations. One is the Rothschild family, another is the royal family in the Middle East, and the third is the Hayes family. He leaned in. Do you have any idea how much wealth your mother created for the Hayes family? Charlie shook his head and let out a slightly embarrassed sigh. You'll have to tell me, Professor Cabrera, I really don't know much about my grandpa's family. For one thing, that's just a kid. My mom took me to his house a few times, but I never really got a sense of her family. Plus, from what I remember, it always seemed like she and my grandpa didn't exactly see eye to eye. That's right. Zeke nodded. Back when your mother decided to marry your dad and move to the United States with him, your grandfather was furious. He looked down on the Wade family. The Hayeses felt the Wades weren't good enough to marry into their family. Zeke added, and to be fair, your grandfather was just the reality of the Wade family back then. Even though they were a big deal in the United States, on the world stage, they were barely a blip on the radar. So what kind of business is my grandfather's family in? Charlie asked, intrigued. A sense of awe entered Zeke's voice. Your grandfather's family has their hands in just about everything. You name an industry, and the Hayes family has a piece of it. But they keep an incredibly low profile. They own thousands of companies all over the world. But on the surface, none of them are tied to the Hayes name. The family members themselves almost never appear in public. It's a lot like how the Rothschilds operate. To an outsider, it might not look like the Rothschilds own that much these days, but the key is that they own more than one bank and secretly hold huge stakes in countless others. Owning a bank is like having the keys to the entire financial kingdom. Practically every company needs financing or wants to go public, and they have to go through a bank. So a massive family like that will naturally pour money into countless startups and public companies through a web of venture capital firms and equity funds. The Rothschilds have their fingers in almost every Fortune 500 company in South America and Russia. Their ownership is structured so secretly and so cleverly that an outsider could never trace it. After a moment, Zeke added with admiration, the Hayes family's playbook is almost identical to the Rothschilds. So, as for how much money your grandfather actually has, he probably couldn't even tell you the full figure himself, and I sure as hell don't know. But I can tell you this, that a venture capital fund your mother started in Silicon Valley back in the day, 30 years ago was capitalized at over $10 billion. For any other fund to raise that kind of money, they have to bring in an army of wealthy individuals and even regular small-time investors. But all the money your mother was using back then, every last cent of it came from the Hayes family. And you know what's happened in Silicon Valley since then? Countless Fortune 500 companies have been born there, along with a whole new class of the world's top tech billionaires. All the major tech empires of our time came out of that valley. Since then, their market values have multiplied by tens of thousands of times. The potential for growth back then was beyond imagination. Think about it. Anyone who invested in the right startup 20 years ago would have multiplied their money hundreds of times over by now. But here's something you probably didn't know. Your mother invested early in one of those companies. She did it through the venture capital fund she started long before you were even born. Back in those days, the founder personally invited her in. When the company was still worth only a few billion, she put in a few $100 million for a 10% stake. Today, that same company is worth more than $2 trillion. And that 10% stake she bought, even after all the restructuring and share adjustments, she still owns around 6%. Do you realize what that's worth now? Close to $900 million. But she didn't stop there. She also backed another young visionary, someone whose company went on to dominate the internet, communications, and artificial intelligence industries. That company's valuation alone exceeds $1 trillion today, and your mother's fund owns more than 10% of its shares. So just those two investments alone can outweigh the entire Wade family fortune. In fact, if you added all the other companies their funds supported, the Simpsons and the Ways wouldn't even be in the same league, let alone all the Hayes family assets. Charlie was completely floored. Everyone knew about the Silicon Valley miracle, and Charlie was no different. Countless tech companies got their start there, and so many of them blew up to be worth tens of millions of dollars. A handful even broke the $100 billion mark. Back then, you could have just closed your eyes and thrown money at a random Silicon Valley startup, and you'd still have a decent shot at hitting the jackpot with a company that had unlimited potential. That was the power of investing. The potential for profit was beyond your wildest dreams. But Charlie never would have guessed that his own sweet, respectable, brilliant mother had one of the most incredible investment track records of all. Zeke let out a long sigh, his voice thick with emotion. I couldn't even begin to list all your mother's successes to race her back in the day. If you ever find yourself in Silicon Valley, you can walk up to the head of just about any top company, tell them your mother was Steve Hayes, and they roll out the red carpet. A sigh escaped Charlie. to clear 10 billion in profit this year, and I could easily top 100 billion next year. It's more than enough to fund all my other projects. Zeke's eyes widened. You have a pharmaceutical company that's pulling in over 10 billion a year in profit? What's it called? Charlie replied, MS Pharmaceuticals. Ever heard of it, Professor Cabrera? Zeke looked even more stunned. He blurted out, is that the company that makes the MS Gastro Compounder? Charlie nodded. That's the one. Right now, our flagship product is the MS Gastro Compounder. Oh my God, Zeke exclaimed. The MS Gastro Compounder is famous all over the world. I've always had a sensitive stomach myself, and I tried boxing it a while back. The effect was immediate. I used to be scared to eat anything raw, cold, or spicy. Now, with the Gastro Compounder, I can handle anything. It's no problem at all, he continued. I have a ton of friends back in Russia who've been begging me to get some for them. Everyone knows how incredible that medicine is, but I honestly never would have guessed the company was yours. Charlie nodded. Initially, I partnered with Webb's pharmaceutical company. I restructured the whole operation and gave him a healthy stake in it. After that, I acquired Sterling Pharma out of Canada, so our production capacity has been skyrocketing. I'm confident the Gastro Compounder will be available worldwide very soon. When that happens, 100 billion a year in profit will be well within reach. Absolutely. Zeke said, his tone serious. A pharma company's greatest asset is a drug that actually works. The world's top pharmaceutical companies have annual revenues in the hundreds of billions, sometimes even trillions of dollars. But their net profits usually aren't that high because their R&D costs are massive. The research and development for a single drug can easily cost billions, even tens of billions. Were your R&D costs for the Gastro Compounder high? Charlie shook his head. The R&D cost for the Gastro Compounder was minimal. So in terms of profit margin, my company's going to blow the others out of the water. Zeke couldn't help but give a thumbs up, shaking his head in awe. That's incredible. At this rate, you could build your own empire in just a few years. The potential is limitless. As he said it, though, his expression fell. Honestly, Charlie, now is the perfect time for you to get into ocean shipping. A huge piece of the market just opened up, and you've got the cash flow. You could build a massive fleet and get the whole operation up and running in no time. It's just a damn shame I can't help you with it myself. My department at the university is really counting on me. I'm determined to make our economics program the best in the country. I really want
Yeah, they bring this printer, not looking in the post office. Only them can work out.
Good morning. Welcome. Fine. Catalina said 30, and just keep driving say 6. Why 6? That's the question Catalina is asking. Why 6? When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I'm 50. How old is my daughter now?
We'll try the way they want.
Yes, now.
What is it when they come back? What I gave you for coming
I
back?
don't know when they come. So now we see when they come. They can wait.
Okay.
Wait, see they do like this.
That's what I'm
So the two carriers go first. No, so sugar come. Now you want to take listen on their list. I think they want to for Doris.
I know what they talk. Oh.
If you want to take original quickly, very additional. And they say not quickly. Not the original one.
I mean, I said it. I don't know the guy where fly. I don't know nothing.
Now, Mama, when they know, Mama go on with one thing where you do quickly and don't work. I don't know their hand don't cut. But I want to that thing she should die.
Some of them, they let you. I never trouble with the flag with it.
You know that she see the thing, the rock come out. So I'm not, I still remember that thing from my head. No grievous. Till we come grow.
That one would they grow, one would they requested. Get one would they go. My mother don't buy pop for it. No pop for it. So one of my sister come discover say the woman thought I get this what they call her weapon. I say, I will let you.
Till today.
Whatever, but when they buy them, because I said the commodity they use put
No, from that time, tell us the same thing.
When they will say about it, they will drop the tea. You know when I chew my body, will grow up.
Where is the wash cloth? The bath where they take fresh water, they are picking sheet of those and tell them.
They have one.
For backyard, you enter backyard of some canteen. You want those Mr. Biggs and go. No picture of this. Now rats you won't talk. Even for our own mess.
Cockroach.
Let's see. I remember sometimes we had this mess. Inside mess, people they eat inside mess. Rats. Pure. We have people they carry their leg up.
Don't be fresh. I said that I enter bush now, let me go rabbit.
Okay, they never do.
You go to kill it. Okay, no, they come.
They never do.
Rabbit, they get white teeth.
I said, if rabbit, rat from house at that bush, if you don't stay some post, they'll kill us rabbit.
Yes.
Not the chopper.
Yes.
They just as rabbit, they let it tear the lawn.
Rabbit, they white.
That's the house.
I'm telling you white.
And the lawn, once you have for rat.
But you tell you white.
The white tail is not rabbit.
Anyway,
if you get white tail, na rabbit. But if you
I don't know if they get white there.
The tip of the tail.
The chicken, and we can't say they're wrong. That's the house rat.
I don't feel it's rabbit.
not get
What did they inside? What person is off?
the rabbit is sweet.
What did they inside?
What of if you want to talk to
Sunday big
about
person.
school there?
Rabbit is
People will carry gun go to shoot school there.
Squirrel not big pass the rabbit.
Oh, no pass. Now here school they get.
Maybe part of the fly.
A big pass the rabbit.
That's it by bite your hand there. If you catch squirrel, you didn't knock it like.
That's what I like pass.
Or grass cutter good. And they even train am. Who will they train am?
That we eat man. We eat at 12, man. So gross.
You know,
That's all that they go and jam. And
there
remember the
is
same rapper.
sweet.
Every morning they go and jam. Very
That's
much to go back and be there. That one they go there every morning.
Nine get wahala pass o. Yes, now all those ones who be say they get if you don't cook them well, not be there they get sickness. Not be from there now Ebola come.
And it don't mature way to eat.
Okay.
I want to train.
Other animals.
I want to train am. Then they rear. Then they rear am. Rabbit. Then this one will get long hair. That one here.
You want to get Ebola now?
I tried monkey before.
Monkey dey transfer Ebola.
I tried monkey.
Me, I chop monkey, I later stop am because why for our house we no dey chop monkey. Any house wey twins dey, How you monkey na our side. So when we get permission to go shop around, when my parents know, because they ain't come in one, maybe I wouldn't even know one thing.
Yes.
Almost everybody.
I
don't know, or maybe I know, like ignorant.
I tell you. That means I just snail.
Snail is sweet.
Everything. That's when I smoke.
It gives blood.
When I smoke, if I chop snail, when they get rashes everywhere. So my mother noticed that thing. So that snail, they do this, my pain, this thing, don't stop. I stop, I don't want to get all those things again.
But you on your own, you don't test them.
Then my family, they chop them.
But you on your own, you don't test them.
With that fear now, not let me chop them again. As I don't grow now, I say, my doctor, as I don't grow, how they get that kind of thing? How people go to talk? You know what I'm saying? I said, my poor liver. That time when they cook, they will cook snail soup. I want to get my own pot, cook my own soup. And so I did that. That fear of that time, doctor said,
my father still telling me about snake, dog.
the rest not small, you from there,
He say no say I be man. You know say we men we eat anything. Say no say I dey explore life. Say but it's no wetin many people dey avoid. You understand? So it don't make sense that day. So Doris, so before close of business now, Chairman is saying
we not necessarily need to wait till one close. We can do it in the morning.
you know, anytime. You get one tribe there, on my. They will use something to command the snail from the shell. You understand? The water will retain inside. They will wash the snail. Share the air. They will wash the snail, do everything they want to do. They'll come put the snail back inside the shell. Put ingredients. Each one, they put them back. They come put them inside charcoal where they burn. They come cook for them. They come chop and drink that water. That's the water. That's how TV I don't say. You not enter there.
No, what is on my yesterday? Oh, the system they hang, so they waste.
Anytime when you started, okay, now, Doris, if you enter, I don't go shoot up.
And they want a situation whereby those that are here, they are checked into their rooms. Make we know they get empty bed space, may not they count as vacant rooms.
We don't have any other thing will come up before Friday. Another will come, we clean up, we'll start.
Because when they're going to check the bed, they're going to say vacancy, and when they say room not there. I don't know why this thing they hang since yesterday like this.
Let me feel the summer. Hey, they don't shook her now. Doris, hand be inside now. You understand? As this thing come up now, this discussion, we don't say Matt hand be inside now. You want to shook hand for something. It's choking hand for some things. Presently as we talk.
Now you be the expert.
Which one is that?
25.
Don't turn our head.
Checking this person for this room today.
Thing I say, you have to help me get her to RSL. Get her to work with you. If you can do this for me, I'll leave it to Charlie, quickly on the man. Professor Cabrera, please, you're being too generous. You were my mother's classmate and friend. You're my senior. Even if you hadn't offered me this job, I'd do everything I could to help. He continued, how about this, Professor? Give me your daughter's contact information.
Hi, Don. Am I muted? Hi, Don. Don says 30. Catalina. Catalina, am I still muted? I think I'll mute. Donati says 30. Oti 77. Oti 77. Oti 77. Says 30.
That's why he was so eager to connect with senior career's daughter. He was desperate for talent and a chance to get a skilled professional role so in his dad. That was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. He also knew Zeke could instruct his daughter into coming to Doris. That was on Charlie. And if Charlie could actually pull it off, Zeke would enroll in him. Anytime. So, Charlie was thrown in at it. Zeke got played and chatted immediately, sending contact. Charlie tapped on the profile. The username was Little Livestrame. You can do it. Hey, Charlie, just a little background for you. Zeke said, beside you, my daughter's name is Jennifer Cabrera. She should be about your age. I see her now. Is that right? Charlie nodded. Yeah, February 2nd. Right. Zeke said with a smile. I remember getting the news. My Jennifer was reported to call. The leaves were just starting to turn and sleeves.
We're not going to use this kind of network till work tomorrow.
So it's okay. The guy and the inside.
Since yesterday. Since yesterday, stop.
The hand the inside. You understand? You know the finger disease is yesterday. Now I want you to notice in wrong coming college. If really in comments. You understand?
Charlie nodded seriously. I'll do my best to talk her into coming home. Okay, Zeke said.
See to almost say, if it be like this tomorrow, I will do that, checking in for life and so that you know it's good.
Doesn't matter. Zeke insisted. So when it gets dark, just send a request. You can talk to her whenever she gets on. Charlie nodded. Okay, I'll add her with my contact card. She'll see that you recommended me.
The alarm system
I should just
just
copy her page and ID. He tapped the contact card, copied the ID, and then sent a new friend request. In the message field, he wrote simply, regarding a position Just tell her you don't know me, he said, sounding defeated. If she knows we're in on this together, she'll never come. Charlie nodded and typed back. Miss Cabrera, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I don't know anyone named C. I came across your articles in several financial journals, and your insights into international finance and economic management are impressive. I'm currently launching a new ocean shipping division, and I'm looking for someone to lead it. You came to mind. Another voice message arrived. If Z didn't send you, how did you get my wave chat ID? Z was speechless. While Z was racking his brain for an excuse, Charlie was already typing his reply. Miss Cabrera, I sourced your contact information through an international headhunting firm. I paid a $50,000 finder's fee for it, in fact. Typically, the headhunter would make the initial contact, but for a partnership of this significance, I felt a direct approach would be more efficient.
How are you on the board?
Explanation, Z showed Charlie an impressive thumbs up.
Why are you shooting this on his work restaurant? Yes, sir.
Sure enough, Jeff just
You're holding it.
came through this time as attacks. I
Go to
understand,
the
but I'm very sorry. I'm currently in custody, and I likely won't be able to leave for at least another 6 months. I don't think I can work with you right now. I really am sorry. Charlie was a little thrown by how quickly she shut it down, but he wasn't going to give up. I thought you were in Russia, Miss Cabrera. He said, not missing a beat. I never would have guessed you were in Nasri. What are you doing there? You, my college classmates, and I are here filming a documentary about the war. Jennifer explained. The plan is to use it to launch an anti-war charity fund. Charlie jumped off the opening. An anti-war fund, you say? I can make a personal donation.
When they do that,
If you were willing to consider a long-term partnership, I could offer a one-time donation of $30 million to get it started. He pressed on, his tall, shaking smile. Honestly, a finance major filming a war documentary in Nasri, it doesn't quite track. People should find their strengths. Documentaries are a job for a professional crew. Someone with your talent for finance should be creating wealth, creating jobs. Jennifer's voice was steady. You're not wrong, Mr. Whitty, but to be honest, some thinkers are the most professional firms will be found. And they definitely won't go deep onto the front lines to war. Besides, she added, you've seen the work that comes out of here from other crews. They stay as far from the front lines as possible, so their perspective is limited. Worse, they just echo whatever the mainstream media is pushing. Glamorizing the war. People who aren't on the ground here can never really understand how brutal this is. And if you don't understand that, you can't understand why being anti-war is so important. Charlie cut in, changing his approach. All right, Miss Cabrera, how about this? I'll sponsor your team for $20 million. They can make a better documentary than you've ever imagined. But there's one condition. You can't stay in Nasri. The money goes to them. But you come to Doris Hill and help me set up my ocean shipping business. What do you say? The second Charlie finished speaking, Z shot him a thumbs up on the side. Charlie smiled. The opposition forces are really tearing into each other. The government's running low on cash, and their guys probably have minimal training, so their combat skills are in check. If they only send a few soldiers to protect you, it's basically useless.
I can only decide on.
Grad students. Or something.
When are Children's Day as well?
And our children's day as well. Come play this one.
I need you alive and well to tell the tale of
Come on.
while you
Come play this one.
I like the perfect shot. I like this photograph to invite the president into my
Don't give me. Listen, you know you could cut one.
Okay.
It's only you can cut. When I reached you yesterday, the network was full.
I give me down
Yeah?
the later can cut it.
No, number two, the line on. Could you share me? No work for me for here. When I reach you yesterday, I don't know that. How are you? Have you want to go now? I'm going to send you 5,000 for the other one. Yeah, the other one. Not the one I'm sending on the next well, you don't need so much shit.
that's the reason. We were the last thing. The hard work and prostitution
his face flushed with anger. Kian just smiled, patting him on the shoulder. Look at it this way, he said, his voice calm and sincere. He just dodged a bullet. It's a good thing, really. No need to be so pissed off. Grandpa, the guy was a total scammer. Even shot back, his voice tight with frustration.
Stand for next stretch. Arms overhead. Not standing up. Oh, Jesus. I need to stretch.
The key is that they own more than one bank and secretly hold huge stakes in countless others. The bank is like having the keys to the entire financial kingdom. Practically every company needs financing or wants to go public, and they have to go through a bank. So a massive family like that will naturally pour money.
Seats for next stretch. Hands to floor. If I bend down, you can see me. So no need to bend down. No need to bend down. Go down low. Go down low. When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now? Tell me. How old is my daughter now? When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now? Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. When I was just a little girl, I asked my mother, what would I be? Will I be pretty? Will I be rich? Here's what she said to me. Please, Sarah, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. The future is not us to see. Azinga 900. Hello. Good morning. Azinga, what's up? Good morning to you. How are you today, Azinga? Azinga, how are you? How are you, Azinga?
Zeke was speechless. While he was racking his brain for an excuse, Charlie was already typing his reply. Miss Cabrera, I searched your contact information through an international headhunting firm. I paid a $50,000 finder's fee award, in fact. Typically, the headhunter would make the initial contact, but for a partnership of this significance, I felt a direct approach would be more efficient. Hearing the explanation, Charlie and addressed a thumbs up. The story was flawless, and sure enough, Jennifer seemed to buy it. Her reply came through this time as a text. I understand, but I'm very sorry.
Azinga.
Currently in industry, and I likely won't be able to leave for at least another 6 months. Not that I'm wrong right now, I really am sorry. Charlie was a little thrown by how quickly she shut it down, but he said not to give up. I thought you were in Russia, Miss Cabrera. He said, not missing a beat. I never would have guessed you were in Nasri. What are you doing there? A few of my old college classmates and I are here filming a documentary about the war. Jennifer explained. The plan is to use it to launch an anti-war charity.
Azinga
Charlie
900.
jumped on the opening. And the anti-war fund, you say? I could make a personal donation. In fact, if you were willing to consider his tone shifting slightly. Honestly, a finance major found the war documentary industry. It doesn't quite track. People should play to their strengths. Documentaries are a job for a professional crew. Someone with your talent for finance should be creating wealth, creating jobs. Jennifer's voice was
Is
steady.
not available.
You're not wrong, Mr. May, but to be honest, it's so dangerous here that most professional crews won't even come. And they definitely won't go deep onto the front lines to film. Besides, she added, we've seen the work that comes out of here from other crews. They stay as far from the front lines as possible, so their perspective is limited. Worse, they just echo whatever the mainstream media is pushing, glamorizing the war. People who aren't on the ground here can never really understand how brutal this is. And if you don't understand that, you can't understand why being anti-war is so important. Charlie cut in, changing his approach. All right, Mr. Cabrera, how about this? I'll sponsor your team for $20 million. They can make a better documentary than they ever imagined. But there's one condition. You can't stay in Nasri. family. It's about pulling the lamb out of the wolf bag. Just then Jennifer's voice came back over the line. Leave my team. I could never do that. We made a pact. None of us leaves without the others. I'm not asking you to abandon them, Charlie said with a practiced smile. I'm offering our team a better option. He pivoted, his tone softening with concern. Mr. Carrera, what are the conditions like for you over there? Are you getting enough supplies? More importantly, are you safe? It's rough, she admitted. We're in a war zone, supplies are scarce. As for our safety, the government assigned a few soldiers to protect us. So, all things considered, we're okay, we're safe. Listening in, Zeke let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Charlie smiled. From what I'm hearing, the government and opposition forces are really tearing into each other. The government's running low on cash, food, and ammo. Their guys probably have minimal training, so their combat skills are a joke. If they only send a few soldiers to protect you, it's basically useless. You're a bunch of unarmed grad students. If something goes sideways, you won't even have a prayer of getting out. Jennifer hesitated. I don't think it's that serious. Charlie just smiled. You can think that. But if things actually go bad, what you think isn't going to happen. He paused, then added, I hear mercenaries are the way to go in hotspots like this. You can hire a dozen well-equipped, highly trained mercs to watch your backs 24/7. Then you'd actually be safe. Jennifer looked embarrassed. Mercenaries are way too expensive. We actually looked into a company named Onyx. For the front lines here, their guys get paid by the day. Something like $2,000 a day per person. And that's before you even talk about weapons or gear. Ammo is extra. And if you need vehicles, the price is just insane. Our budget is already stretched to the limit. There's no way we can afford mercs. Charlie grinned. See? And that's why the $20 million I promised you is so important. As long as you come home and help me, I'll give that $20 million to your team. If a merc costs $2,000 a day, you can hire 20 of them. That's what, $40,000 a day? Even if you guys are there for another 6 months, 40 grand a day only comes out to around $6 million. Throw in the cost of renting some armored vehicles, and $10 million covers it easily. The other $10 million, you can pour that right back into the film. With the best camera equipment, the best drones for aerials. Charlie's pitch clearly hit its mark. Jennifer was tempted, still, she hesitated. Everything you're saying makes perfect sense. But when we started this, we all made a pact. We said we'd live or die together, that we'd stick it out no matter what. Now, I'd be the one breaking that promise. Don't feel so guilty about it, Charlie said, his smile softening. Think of it this way. You and your friends are in a beat-up car driving across the desert. It breaks down in the middle of nowhere. You're out of gas. You can't all just sit there and wait to die of thirst. You have to send someone to find gas so the rest of the group has a chance to get out alive. Even though that person has to leave the group, they're the one who can come back with enough gas to save life. They can bring back a better vehicle, better gear, all the supplies you need to keep going. Better, faster, and safer than before. So that's a good choice. Still in the car, drastically improves the lives of survivors. So I think you should talk it over with your team. I'm sure they'll understand. I bet they'll agree it's the right move. And while they've been lucky so far, they all knew that until the document before someone was a kid. Thought of $20 million from Charlie. It wasn't just a sponsorship. It was a game changer. It meant better security, better gear, and a much better chance of everyone getting home in one piece. That's swirling in her mind, she messaged Charlie back. Mr. Wade, let me run this by my team. They're on board, then I'm in. Charlie smiled. That's great to hear. When do you think you can get back to me? Jennifer typed quickly. We're about to go back with local government forces for an operation. They're hitting a small opposition base before dawn. The whole thing Should take about 6 hours. I can give you a definite answer by nightfall. How does that sound? Charlie's already been Charlie this doctor. That's a real war out there. Bullets don't have eyes. If she gets hit on, she'd be lucky just to survive, but she could be maimed for life. Charlie nodded grimly. I know. I'll try. He left another voice message. Jennifer, I really think you should sit this one out. Why don't you and your team just take the day? Sit down and seriously consider my offer. If you all agree, I can have the money wired immediately. Your team can hire a squad of mercenaries from Onyx to protect me. What do you think? Jennifer's reply came a moment later. Mr. Ray, we've been prepping this for 3 days. The team is already loading up the truck, and we're about to roll out. We'll have an answer for you after the mission. Another message popped up right after. Sorry about the wait. Charlie quickly typed, I still really think you should go. But this time there was no reply. Charlie looked over at me. His expression. She gets a very generous salary. If she can get my ocean shipping business off the ground, I'll double it in a heartbeat. Charlie, thank you. Seriously, Zeke said, his voice thick with gratitude. Don't worry, I'll find a way to make it up to you. I promise. Charlie just nodded. I was thinking you have to be so formal with me. He glanced at the time. You have class coming up, right? I don't want to hold you up. We'll catch up later. Zeke checked his watch and his eyes. Oh, you're right. I almost forgot. I do have class. Listen, Charlie, if you're free.
Wait.
I'll give you one. You must be swamped with work. But the truth was, he really did want to talk more with He was a little brothers like years, but it wasn't every day he ran into one of the lessons. This was a chance to find out my brother's story. So he said, that means us, come get your class over here. He nodded, his face lighting up. Have a seat. So we can meet in class. I'll be right back. Charlie nodded and watched Zeke hurry up with his teacher. He almost to himself and he settled onto the sofa. After some time, he decided to look up information on Jennifer. Now she was seriously impressive. She had probably a team and had featured on the university's official website, complete with a bio and a photo. In the picture, Jennifer had light, cold, curly hair and a sweet, flawless face that was striking eye. Just as he posted search results, Charlie answered, starting to have his voice deep in line. That's the way he saw at school. Riddles. What happened to me? Somebody might be targeting you. That caught Charlie off guard. He remembered Phoebe. She was the girl Rowan Wells had psychologically manipulated into nearly jumping into a lake. And she had been Rowan's girlfriend right before the incident. Someone was asking about Rowan, and the questions had led them to her. Were they trying to find out the whole story behind that accident? Charlie had wrapped his head around why someone would be digging into Rowan Wells' business now. After all, Rowan himself, Charlie, was behind the whole thing. Since they were the ones involved, the Wells family had no reason to waste their time and money digging it all up again. That meant whoever was looking into it now couldn't have been sent by the Wells family. Charlie mentally ran through his list of enemies. Most of them were already taken care of. The only ones left standing were the Simpsons and the Montgomerys. He'd hit both families hard, and he knew they were still clueless about his real identity. If they wanted to track him down, they'd have to start unraveling the mystery, one piece at a time. Putting it all together, Charlie realized the people investigating the Rowan Wells incident had to be connected to one of them. So he asked Skylar, "Who's digging into the Rowan Wells thing? Did you get a look at them?" "Yeah, I saw them," Skylar said. "Two guys, one old, one young. Where are they now?" Charlie asked. "I just saw them in the plaza outside the academic building a minute ago." Skylar replied. No idea where they went. The academic building was just across the campus. So Charlie went to the window and glanced down. And there they were, in the plaza below. An old man and a young one just heading out. The old man had a strange, almost otherworldly air about him. Charlie had sensed a similar aura from Elias Covington before. This man felt weaker, fainter. Ever since acquiring the mystic scriptures, Charlie had become highly sensitive to that kind of energy. He knew instantly. The old man was either a spiritual arts practitioner like Elias Covington, or a master of metaphysics like Owen Pierce, back in New York. He pulled out his phone and called Isaac. Isaac had got two people at Doris University, an old man and a younger one. They seemed to be digging into the Rowan Wells situation. I need someone keeping tabs on them. Get your best guys on them, people who can watch from a distance without being spotted. The last thing I need is for them to get me. Report any moves they make back to me immediately. Isaac's reply was immediate. I'd say it's done, Master Charlie. I'll put a few of my best men on it. Former Special Forces scouts. Meanwhile, back at the plaza, in front of the academic building. But Grandpa, wouldn't that just make him angry? What if he sees us as enemies? If he's the kind of person to hold a grudge or be overly suspicious, then yes, he'll see us as a threat. He had said, but a man like that has a narrow mind. It is impossible for someone so ready to possess the destiny of a true dragon. Someone destined to be a king is magnanimous and open-minded. He won't turn on us simply because we came here investigating Rowan Wells. He spoke, he added, "Besides, we didn't come here to cause the man any trouble. The Simpsons hired us to identify him, but I have no intention of getting caught in the middle of their fight. So, even if we do find him, I'm not giving his name to the Simpsons." Even couldn't resist asking, "But Grandpa, the Simpsons hired us to investigate their enemy. If we just don't, isn't that a breach of contract?" Stephen glared at him and snapped, "You foolish boy. The moment we decided to come to Doris Hill, we were no longer looking for the Simpson family." After a moment, Kian continued, "My reason for coming to Doris Hill is to find this powerful man."
When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now?
Go up against a man of true destiny.
that's the riddle for today. And majority of you said 30. Majority said 30. Okay. Tyler said 45. But most people said 30. So if you said 30, you are absolutely correct. 30 years old is the absolute answer, is the correct answer. When I was 25, my daughter was 5. Now I am 50. How old is my daughter now? The answer is 30 years old. So your daughter is 30. Oh, my daughter is 30 now that I am 50 years old. That's the correct answer. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for participating. I appreciate you. I will see you in the next one. Please give the live stream a thumbs up by tapping twice on the screen. And we have come to the end of today's Riddle live stream. I will see you again in the next one. Do it to subscribe because I have so much more coming your way. I'll come back again with more riddle questions for you, for your entertainment. Do it to subscribe. Alright, see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day, a blessed day.
Charlie shook his head. Not yet. She said there wouldn't be any internet once they left the base, remember? We'll just have to wait until she's somewhere she can get a signal. Zeke nodded with a sigh. My right eye was twitching like crazy during my class just now. That never feels like a good sign, so I can't help but worry. Charlie offered a reassuring smile. Hey, don't work yourself up over it. Just be patient and wait for the message. Their time zone is 6 hours ahead of ours. So just hang tight. I promise the second I hear anything, I'll let you know. Zeke said helplessly. I guess there's nothing to do but wait. Then, shaking off his worry, he said to Charlie, come on, let's go. I made a reservation for us at the Oris Hill Archway near campus. We can grab some lunch. The Oris Hill Archway is a legit local restaurant chain in Oris Hill. It's got a few spots around town, all focused on authentic local
Bye.
said to Charlie, my family's been in Oris Hill for 3 generations. I grew up here and lived here from birth until I was a teenager before I left to study. I ended up living down roots there, and we just moved back after a few decades away. Coming back made me realize the food here is just too good to pass up. I never get sick of it. Even though the faculty cafeteria at the university offers all sorts of great food, I still come here for lunch every day for a real taste of Oris Hill. After a moment, he asked Charlie, you've lived in the city for so many years. Aren't you sick of it by now? Charlie gave a small smile. I've never been picky about food. For 10 years at the orphanage, I ate pretty much the same simple chicken broth every day, and it didn't bother me. Later, when I was working construction, I thought the bread rolls we got every day.
See you. Bye.
Zeke couldn't help but sigh. Most people can't even imagine the life you had before you were 8.